Hey everyone, welcome to the Love Your Body podcast. Today we have a special guest, Amanda McGinnis, who, if you follow my Instagram or you follow anything of mine, you've either seen her doing Move Fit, working out in the LYB, at any of my events, running the booth just like a boss. She has been training with me for how long has it been?
4 years.
Okay.
2020.
Yes. And I do want to make a special note here that I usually don't have clients on the podcast, but since Amanda was one of the first of 20, because I did this thing when we started Dani D After Dark, which if you haven't yet, go ahead and subscribe so you can see our exclusive episode on there. But the first 20 people were in a raffle. And so out of that, whoever won the raffle would get to come on the podcast. So I was like, this is perfect.
It's me.
It's you. Yes. So tell everybody just a little bit, because again, I know they've seen you everywhere, but what you do for work, where you're from, all those things. And then we'll get into how we met.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I am about to be 29. I'm 28, but I'm about to be 29 in May. I am a registered nurse. I work at St. Thomas. I've been there my whole nursing career, so I love it. Been in a couple different roles as a nurse. I've been an ICU nurse. I've been in leadership as a nurse, and now I'm in a procedural area. Yeah. It's a big part of my identity and who I am, but I'm originally from Michigan, grew up, born and raised outside of Detroit, and moved when I was in middle school to Florida for just a year. And then we moved to Tennessee when I was in 8th grade. So I did 6th grade in Michigan, 7th grade in Florida, 8th grade in Tennessee.
Dang,
so I was an angry little preteen.
Yes. What part of Tennessee did you move to?
So Goodlettsville.
Okay. Gotcha.
Off the bat, we moved to Goodlettsville, and my parents have stayed there ever since. I'm currently in Lebanon. When I moved out of my parents' house, I moved in with my boyfriend. Yeah. Tucker and I have been together for 6 years now. Okay. And we got a house in Lebanon and a dog, baby.
Okay. And so, yes, Sadie.
Sadie, yes.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, Goodlettsville is in Nashville. So it's just right outside.
Just
right
north
here.
Of Nashville.
Yeah. And then Lebanon's about, would you say?
40 minutes east of Nashville. I've always been 30, 40 minutes outside of Nashville. But everyone I talk to outside of Tennessee, I'm from Nashville.
Right, exactly.
I live in Nashville.
They don't know any different. So
no, exactly.
But yeah, so then, and you have a sister.
I do. I have a younger sister. We're 13 months apart, so close to Irish twins, but my mom didn't get it. She also trains with you. She's a client. But yeah, and that's not my only sibling. I have a half brother as well.
Right, yes.
From my dad's first marriage, but he is 14 years older than me.
That's how older my brother is. Yeah.
Yeah. So we didn't grow up together, in the same house. But we have a good relationship. He lives in another state though. So.
Okay. Very cool. Was your mom was a nurse or is a nurse?
My mom is a nurse. Yes.
Okay. So you took it after her.
Literally the same pathway. She started out as an ICU nurse. Okay. Went into leadership. Okay. She kind of took a different route outside of the hospital. Yeah. Though, but it's funny. You always say I'm going to do something different. Yeah. I did the same thing. Yeah. The exact same thing.
That's so wild because it's me and my mom do so, we totally, she's computer.
Yes.
And that's not me, at all. Right? I can't even do the newsletter. Okay. So thank goodness for Anna. But literally it's one of those things where but she has an entrepreneurial spirit. Mm-hmm. And that's, where I have thrived and everything like that. So it's just interesting hearing, before when I was growing up, I was we're so different. We're so whatever, but it is we are very similar in that. So tell us how you found Dani Fitness.
So we had to do a little research because I couldn't quite remember. Right. Because I'll be totally honest, when I started looking for a trainer and found you, I didn't know what I was looking for. Yeah. I had no clue. I had worked with trainers in the past. My parents I've always been overweight. Okay. So my whole life has been diets, personal trainer, trying to get me to lose weight in some capacity. Right. So I had worked out with people before, but had never had a positive experience.
And you played sports growing
up. And I
too.
did. Yeah, I played sports. I played softball, basketball, and volleyball. Wow. Yeah.
All the things.
My parents had to keep me busy, apparently. Mm-hmm. So
get you out of trouble.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yep. But I just never had a good experience with personal trainers. I would do it for a little bit and then would quit and nothing stuck. Yeah. And so it was, I think January, February of 2020. Yeah. which if anybody else in the world knows, it was COVID times.
Right.
As a registered nurse in the ICU, I was looking for just some kind of outlet for the feelings that I was feeling.
Yeah.
And so I started looking for a personal trainer.
Yep.
And I used the app Thumbtack.
Yep. Shout out that ratchet app that I use. Like, I don't know. I mean, I might find it again. I don't know. But like, literally, like, I hate it. I was like, this is a waste of money. This is so, because you get paid to be on it or whatever. I was like, hey, nobody reached out.
Nobody's coming.
But then all of a sudden, like, it was like you, Aaron, like everybody came through there. And I was like, like some of my best, like, I mean, and now like long-term friends, like through that, which has been great.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So it was just very random.
Yeah.
I actually think I like Googled personal trainers in the Nashville area. I did Google female personal trainers. Just because I had both in the past and I was kind of leaning, nothing against male personal trainers.
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And Thumbtack like popped up on the Google search. You know how it takes you to like an app.
Yep.
So I downloaded the app, whatever, go through the process, and you were one of the first ones that popped up. And, you know, I just saw your picture and I think you were wearing like one of your Dani shirts in your picture.
Yeah.
And so I went and like looked you up on Instagram, saw you pulling the truck down Broadway.
Right.
You know,
you
weren't the typical body type. And I was like, this might actually be like a really good fit. And where you were at the time, Next Level was in proximity to where I was working or trying to work at the time.
Right.
So I was like, so convenient.
Yeah.
Came in to meet you. I immediately just knew that you were going to be exactly what I needed.
That's awesome.
To get my stuff together, you know?
Well, and for everybody like wondering too. So like at the time, like when you know, it's like high stress and everything like that. Were you like body type wise, like what was going on there?
So I wasn't the smallest I've ever been. But I was smaller than I am now. But I was not in healthy shape. At all. At that point, I had been on Ozempic for about a year. When I started working out with you.
This would be around the age of what, 25?
Oh God. How old was I in 2020? I'm 28 now, 4 years ago. So I would have been like 23, 24 at this time. Yeah. So on it for about a year, and I had lost a significant amount of weight on it. But had a couple months before, actually the summer before I started working with you, I hurt my back. I had a bulging disc in my back and couldn't walk, couldn't shower, couldn't really do anything.
And also for those listening, I know because I used to be like this before. I had a bulging disc. I used to be like, oh, okay, like a bulging disc. Like I used to roll my eyes at it, honestly, because I was just like, oh, is it painful? Like you have no idea until you go through that. How it impacts every aspect. I mean, everything. And it can be so debilitating, so frustrating. And so how did that happen?
So literally crazy. I was in the shower one day and just like any other day, bent down to shave my leg because I don't have like a seat or anything. It's just like a tub. So I propped my leg up, bent down to shave my leg, and just this shooting pain from my low back went all the way to my toes in my right leg, and my foot went numb.
Jeez.
And I couldn't feel my foot. And I was so scared, so terrified. I got out of the shower and I like went to the bed and like sat down and was like, what just happened? And it hurt from that point forward. It hurt. Like no previous injuries, nothing.
And how much weight had you lost on Ozempic at this point?
Over 100 pounds.
Okay. So you lost over 100 pounds. And was there any movement during this time?
Very little.
I feel like I sound like an attorney.
Like, no. But my doctor asked all the same things because he was like, this is not how this is supposed to happen.
Exactly.
You're supposed to lose weight to avoid hurting yourself. Bigger people hurt themselves. He was like, you should have had a hurt back when you were 280 pounds, not 170 pounds. And I was like, I don't understand why this happened. Like I haven't hurt my back, anything. And he didn't really have any answers for me either. it was kind of a crazy time when I hurt my back because it was also right when I was graduating from nursing school.
Okay.
So I kind of had a moment of, holy crap, I can't walk.
Yeah.
I'm never going to actually be able to be a nurse.
Oh,
I was like, I now have no career.
Right.
I didn't think I was going to be able to walk across the stage of my graduation.
Yeah.
I had to go to the ER and they had to give me IV pain medication.
Yeah.
And it was terrifying.
Right.
I did intense physical therapy for 8 weeks, 3 to 4 times a week for 8 weeks.
Okay.
And it hurt the whole time.
Yeah.
It never really subsided.
Right.
Then.
Okay.
No, you're good.
No, I was gonna say, so when was this? Like, when did you finish the PT?
Yeah, so PT was from about May of 2019 until like August.
Okay, gotcha.
I started my job as a nurse at St. Thomas in July of that year. So I was still in pain and like going to physical therapy and had to be telling like all of these people that I just started my job with. I was like, I'm so sorry. Like I have this and working was excruciating.
Right. Well, I mean, there's sometimes where you've come in and trained with me and you're like, I'm in so much pain because you had to lift a patient off from like one bed to the next, or it was like just you.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I mean,
It was excruciating. Yeah. And I mean, like at that time I wasn't in the ICU yet. So I was still like training, floating around a lot of different units. Flipping back and forth between day shift and night shift every 2 weeks. I would flip back and forth because that's just where my preceptors were. Somebody would be on day shift, somebody would be on night shift. And when you're a new nurse, you can only get so many days off. You know, they want you to get as much education as they can, training as they can.
Yeah.
And so I felt like I couldn't take any time off to try and rehabilitate my back. I didn't want to seem like I wasn't giving my all, you know, at this new job. I don't want to make a bad impression.
Right.
So I just pushed through it.
Yeah.
And it was horrible.
So then at that point, it would have been you were in your job for like 6 months before you sought out a trainer?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're like, the pain is just excruciating. But again, everyone's kind of looking at you as a smaller body or like, you know, so you're like, a normal size, like mid-size, right? Yeah. And at that point, and so you're just kind of like, no one's really thinking like, oh, you need that help or anything.
Yeah.
Or were they taking you seriously about your back pain, or was it kind of just like?
I think I got the same reaction that most people get about chronic pain.
Yes.
Like,
just like
it can't hurt that bad.
Right.
You know, like you're here.
Yeah.
You're doing your job.
Right. But it's also like, what do you expect?
Yeah.
Like, and that's my whole thing too. It's like a lot of times, like people would ask me constantly, well, how's your leg today? How's your leg? And I get it. And it's like nice and like for people to check in.
Yeah.
But it's like when you're dealing with chronic pain, you guys, like it's not going away. And mine does like come and go depending on if the vertebrae shifts forward on the disc, if it's not.
Yeah.
I don't know what sets it off. Sometimes a heavy lift doesn't set it off. Sometimes it does. Sometimes sleeping weird does. Like you just never know. Like bending over in the shower. I've had that pain before too. Like, and so you just never know when it's going to happen, but you kind of just deal with the fact that you have to deal with like, I'm going to be in this pain, and the days that are good, then I'm going to make them great.
Yeah.
But then the other days they're not, I'm braced and I'm ready for it.
Yeah.
Right. And so I remember when you came in, like I was so excited, you know, I'm like, oh, I got this new client. She's walking in. I think you had your scrubs on.
Yeah.
And literally you had come from like an overnight and like.
And the worst overnight shift too, Dani. I didn't eat. I didn't drink any water. I didn't go to the bathroom.
Nothing that was
I didn't
like prescribed.
nothing.
She did not do. And I was just like, and at this point, okay, wait, let's see. So this is 2020, right? This is like February.
Yep.
Right. Okay. So so I have been at Next Level for about a year, I guess, at that point. And you know, and I'm still one of like the only women in there. Like there's predominantly like male trainers.
Yeah.
And then so it was like popping. It was like early morning. I remember we barely had like space.
It was busy.
It was busy. And so I was kind of like, dang, like this really sucks. I got this like, new client. I'm really excited about having her come in. And, you know, because I always want you all to feel like a safe environment.
Yeah.
And so, so I remember you walking in, just me trying to be like, is like, whatever. You were just like not having it. Like you were exhausted. And then I was like, okay, well, I'll just stick to like body weight. This will be fine. And I remember getting the bench out. And you stepped up to do a step up. And literally when you came down, you just fell on your booty. And I literally, I like to remember it as I just like glided down with you to not like make a scene, like a freaking sloth. Like I literally, it was like slow motion. And I like went down and just like sat with you. And was like, yeah. And I was kind of just hoping, I was like, please don't, like, you know what I mean? Because I didn't know how you're going to react. I didn't know you. I'm just like, if she freaks out, that everybody in the gym, you know what I mean? Because it's not that, it wasn't that big of a space. So, you know, so I'm just like, okay, calmer.
And we were in the middle.
And we were in the middle.
We were in the middle of the gym.
And I was like, okay. And I just sat with you and I was like, okay, so like, yeah. And I think you started crying, but.
Oh, I did.
Yeah. But I was just
tears.
like, let's just have a chat. Let's talk whatever. And then when you kind of explain like, okay, didn't eat, didn't whatever. I don't remember. Do you remember after that, like kind of what went down? Like, was it?
So I remember you coming and sitting with me.
Yeah.
And I remember us kind of talking through it and me kind of being like, I'm really sorry. Like I didn't eat anything. I didn't drink anything. And you were like, so we can't do that. You're like, we need to eat.
Yeah.
You need to drink water.
Yeah.
I think you looked at me and you were like, are you going to throw up?
Right. Like, do I need to get you out the floor?
No, I'm okay.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I'm just, mortified.
But honestly though, I really don't think at that point, and maybe I did, but I really don't think I had the emphasis that I do now with clients about that. So like, again, turning it into a positive, because after that I was like, not because I was embarrassed or anything, I didn't care. It was more of like, I don't want anyone to ever pass out or get upset or whatever. And they have to fuel themselves. And so moving forward, I made that a priority to text you guys beforehand, like make sure that you eat before, so it really did help me as a trainer, so I know you look at it as kind of like an embarrassing moment, but like it was like, very helpful. And I'm sure to everybody else moving forward too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you come in after that, I feel like it was just like, we were in it.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and I remember we had a conversation like before I left after that session, which, like I said, when I first met you, like I came in for an intake before I came in for that first workout, for us to just kind of meet. And I remember before I left that first session, because I had told you, I was like, I'm sorry. Like I played sports in school and you run until the coach tells you to stop. Like the coach doesn't care that you didn't eat breakfast this morning. You keep going. And that's my mentality when I work out. And you looked at me and you were like, I 100% get that. You're like, I've done competitive dance. I've done all that. You were amazing. And that even more so solidified for me. I was like, this girl gets it. Yeah. Like she's real and she gets it. So I hooked. Yeah. Hooked in.
No, I love it. Cause it's so wild because, I don't know. I just, there's something about you that it was like you just were a fighter from the beginning, even just from that whole instance, and it's been awesome to just be a part of your journey, but like watch you grow in this. And we've talked about this before because, and I do want to address it because, you have been such an advocate. And I know that people who followed you and who've watched you, they're maybe expecting you to be a certain body size. Yeah. Right. So how has that kind of been like for you on that side?
I mean, mentally it's tough and, 100% vulnerability here. I am in therapy.
Yeah. Love it.
And that is something that I've just been doing for the past year. Yeah. And it really hit me because this whole journey, so after I had started working out with you, not immediately, but I think like 6 months into working out with you, I stopped taking Ozempic. Right. And we can get kind of into the details of why and whatever, but
because I feel like you told me that you were on a medication, but at the time Ozempic
I didn't tell you what it was either because I was ashamed about it.
So that's where my whole thing was. I remember like you writing something down or on your intake or whatever, but it was one of those things where, cause you had diabetes.
Type 2 diabetes.
So in my mind, again, Ozempic was not as like the craze it is now.
Oh yeah.
So back then I'm like, okay, it's a diabetic medication. Like we got to monitor it. Like that's why you have to eat. We got to make sure you're good. Like post fuel, pre fuel, all that solid. Yeah. Eating more throughout the day. So all those things to help you be successful. So then, so 6 months in, you decided to get off that.
I decided to get off of it because I ended up in the emergency room.
Okay.
At work. actually. I hadn't been able to eat anything or drink anything for about 12 hours. And I went into work and got sick, obviously, because I hadn't had anything to eat or drink. And once I had like actually thrown up, there was no stopping it. It was intractable, like projectile vomiting. And I'm at work, like and I was actually training somebody at this point. So this poor student is like, "Are you okay? I have an apple."
Right.
And I was like, "No, sweetie, it's okay."
Yeah.
But it got to the point where it didn't stop. I was having cramps in both of my legs. I was profusely sweating.
Right.
I just like, I had caught the attention of the doctor that was on the unit and the nurse practitioner. And they're like, "You look really bad."
Right.
They're like, can we like, what's going on? I was like, I don't know, maybe like my sugar's messed up. I'm not sure. I haven't been able to eat anything. I just feel sick to my stomach. And you know, a young woman feeling sick to her stomach, everybody was like, "Are you pregnant?"
Right, of course. Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm not pregnant. I'm just sick.
Well, so was there anything leading up to this though that you were feeling like sick? Because I know I've trained clients who are on that as well. And in the beginning, they are just wrecked.
So I think retrospectively looking at it, you know, hindsight is 2020.
Yeah.
I had symptoms from the first time I started it.
Okay.
But I had lost so much weight and that was what I wanted.
Yeah.
I'll take the nausea, vomiting.
Right.
All day.
You'll deal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100 pounds lost.
Yeah.
I'll throw up a couple times.
How long did it take you to lose 100 pounds?
Less than a year.
Man.
Yeah. I mean, less than to a year. But like I said, when I started working out with you, I'd been on it for just a little over a year.
Yeah.
And when I say I was every bit of 280 pounds when I started it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think you remember because we have to do a body assessment when we start working with you. I was 177 pounds.
Yeah.
And that was after I gained some weight because I hurt my back and I was on steroids.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, it was.
How did your family react to seeing you that small? Because if you said, like you said, your whole life you're going back and forth, you're on diets or whatever.
Yeah.
What was kind of their mindset about? Because you know that's some people might be like, 100 pounds in a year, but when you've always been a larger bodied female, you don't. Again, it's like, and you weren't like. I'm not saying 280 is not obese.
It is.
Okay. But like but again,
I carry it differently.
Yes. Because because again, I want to point out that Amanda has always been an athlete. So you have a lot of muscle.
Yeah.
So that's where like on that body assessment too, it would be interesting to go back and look.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I even remember you like, again, you had a strong frame, but it wasn't excess skin, but it just wasn't as strong. You didn't have the muscle that.
Yeah, there was no tone to it whatsoever.
Yeah.
No, and I look back on pictures now and I'm like, because you know the thing that I love about my body the most now, is my glutes, my butt.
Yeah,
there was none of that.
Right,
none of that.
Yeah, well, because your body ate away.
Yeah,
all the muscle.
Yeah,
you know?
But you asked like, how did my family react to me losing that much weight? Right. I was celebrated.
Yeah,
they were so happy for me. My extended family,
you were on it.
Yes.
Or, okay.
Yeah, my extended family was. You know, oh my God, you look amazing. Yeah. What are you doing? Yeah. And I'm like, oh, well, you know, I started this new and I was always with my family, you know, they knew that I was on it, but everybody else around me, when they asked me, I was like, oh, you know, I'm just trying to eat better.
Right.
I was not eating better.
No, I was about to say, this girl comes in telling me you eat like the most like, what, like fried chicken and like
chicken tendies and french fries.
Yeah. All day. And I was just like, okay, but maybe like literally a grilled
Chick-fil-A every day when I was in high school.
Yeah.
So I did not eat healthy.
Right.
I just couldn't eat as much.
Yeah.
I was eating half, if not even less than that, of what I was eating before.
Right.
So of course I lost weight. But my family was like, this is amazing. Like, we're so happy for you.
Right.
So much so that my mom got on it. My cousins tried to get on it. I don't know if they ever ended up taking it, or I know my aunt tried to get on something similar as well. Like, it was, everybody in my family was like, we need to do whatever she's doing because this is working.
Which is also key when I tell you guys that you set the example for those around you, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah. 100%.
Especially being a female. I mean, you're the, like, not the youngest in your family, but you know what I mean? Like, you're the daughter and yet you're paving the way for them to see that.
Yeah.
And then feeling like fast forwarding now to 3 years later of now promoting this whole different mindset, this whole different approach. Has that been difficult? Do they accept, like, or have they seen your strengths? Have they seen your confidence grow? Like, has there been positives with it?
Yeah, for sure.
Good.
But you know, you asked a little bit ago, like, what's it been like to kind of not have a typical journey, you know, that people are seeing online. I'm working out with a trainer, and I put that out there very much so.
Yeah.
And if you go back and look at my old pictures,
If they compare.
yeah. So just to the naked eye, you know, you look at it and you're like, oh, you were small before and now you're bigger. That doesn't make sense.
Right.
Like, why are you so much happier now? And, you know, you should have been happier then. Like, you looked better then. And I've gotten those comments from people and it's super discouraging, and mentally it's been really hard. And even with my family too, like, I love my mom, but you know, I didn't get to be obese just, you know, for funsies. Like, there are some mental issues and trauma from my childhood that led to me being overweight and me having a binge eating disorder, basically. And she, like I said, she got on Ozempic after I got on it. She also lost a lot of weight. I don't know the exact number. She doesn't share her weight. She lost a lot of weight. And when I decided to get off of it, she was like in disbelief.
Yeah.
And she had come to the ER to get me when I got sick. Yeah. And she still was like, but this is what got you to be skinny. Why would you ever?
This is everything you could possibly ever
Why would
want.
you ever want to stop that?
Yeah.
So that was really, really hard.
Yeah.
Trying to and it's not about convincing people. No, but just to push forward with my own journey and my goals while I have other people in the back of my head saying, but you got everything you wanted when you were on that.
Right.
No, I didn't.
Exactly.
No, I
Your
didn't.
life didn't miraculously change. You didn't get the raise you always wanted because you were smaller.
No.
You didn't find the man of your dream. You already have your guy.
Yeah.
Like,
nope.
You know, it like,
Yo,
again,
I was with him when I was small, and I'm with him now too.
Yeah,
He don't care.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing, is that it's that false narrative that, and then that plays into our psyche as well. But that was like exactly how, when I would be at the doctor's office, and they're like, and I'd be saying, hey, like, I can't really see out of my eye. I haven't had a cycle. They're like, yeah, but you just look so great.
But you look amazing.
And I'm like, you know, that was nice because I never heard that really at the doctor's office. But I also was like, cool. So like, are we going to get back to the issue, or like, nah?
Like, my health is not okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a constant thing of like, you know, but what has been cool now though, I've noticed is that, and maybe you have as well, but like when I go now, they understand that like, me building muscle, me putting on weight is not the end all be all detrimental thing. And they're like, I got all that muscle, girl. Like, they're addressing it now. These are like old school Southern women. You know what I mean? Like, and that was really special that they can like see. So again, it's how you react. Like, it's how, you know, because again, if I would have been like when I was super small and would have gotten so excited, you know, or whatever. And then again, you have those horror stories where people go to the doctor's office and someone's like, oh, you put on weight. Like, they really harp into them. Yeah. And the people are fearful of that a lot of times, and then they won't go to the doctor. Yeah. So we shouldn't fear that scale of getting on there. Yeah. And like, I just walked on there one day because I knew my weight, what my weight was. I had a check in that morning. I was good with it. Yeah. I was like, I'm just going to leave my jacket on, whatever. Got on, and then the lady was like, got all that muscle, girl, which, you know, and I was like,
that's nice.
Yeah. And it was so special because I'm like, but they have seen the evolution of it. And it genuinely was like, okay, you're finally getting it. Yeah. You know, and again, it's not like we need to wait for people to understand, because we'll be waiting all day long, you know what I mean? For the rest of our lives, because some people just will never get it. Yeah. But it is so special when just one person gets it.
Yeah. And I think I've probably gotten that satisfaction. I've seen that happen through my sister. Yeah. Like, my sister was, our whole lives, I was always the bigger body and she was the smaller body. Okay. Two completely different kind of eating disorder issues. And I think it's because, you know, she saw me and the interactions that I had with, you know, my parents and other people around me, seeing me. And I think going on diets and having, you know, my mom critique, because when we would go out shopping, my mom would pick up stuff and she'd be like, oh, this would be so cute, but they don't have it in your size. Yeah. So my sister would obviously be with us, see all those things. And my mom would, want to dress her up in things. And so just two very different aspects of it. So she was always in a smaller body, always also playing sports and very strong, and she's built with a strong frame too.
For sure.
And then when she got into college, she moved away. She was farther away than I was for college.
Okay.
She studied abroad during college. And then after her undergraduate, she did law school. Also away, but not as far. She came a little bit closer to home. Yeah. But during law school, law school's hard.
Yeah. I couldn't believe that when she told me she was like going to law school. I was like, oh my gosh.
She is the smartest person I know.
Yeah.
And I think she struggled during law school, just being away from home, focusing so much on school and everything, and trying to focus on school and do well in school because it's law school, and didn't really focus on a social life or anything outside of that. So I think it was just really hard for her. And in that time, she had gained a little bit of weight. And that was the same time that I had lost all my weight with Ozempic. Right. So now we had kind of these switched roles. Yeah. And there was this tension for a while about it. But then when I started working out with you, I would get her and my mom to do workouts with me at the house or whatever during COVID, because she had to come home and was quarantined at home during COVID and doing law school virtually. Dang. Like, what a nightmare.
That sounds awful.
So just started doing, that stuff with her in small settings, whatever. She graduated law school, moved back here. And I don't really know when she started working out with you, but I had brought her to a couple Move Fits and brought my mom to a Move Fit and, just very slowly, and she would ask me about it. Yeah. And I think one of the first times that she asked me about it, she asked how much are you spending on this? Because money is always a big thing in my family. So she's like, how much are you spending on it? And I'm like, it's expensive, but I'm choosing to invest my money in my health. This is what I'm choosing.
I'm sorry. Can we say that a little louder for those in the back?
For the people in the back.
If you had paused the podcast and you missed that, could you rewind that for me?
Having a personal trainer, having a healthy lifestyle is expensive. However, I am choosing to invest in my health and myself.
100%.
Versus, going out to concerts and going out to the bar every weekend and I still do that stuff on occasion. Yeah. But a majority of my personal funds is spent on my health, my personal trainer, my therapy, my meal prep service. Those are things that I choose to prioritize every month.
And those are things that are making you better.
Yes.
Not to say the show wouldn't make you better.
No.
Not to say that the going out to the bar with friends occasionally wouldn't make, you know what I mean? But again, and that's where you've seen, or where I've seen specifically, a huge shift in you, especially over the last year after you've been in therapy, because that has helped a lot, just with your job and then everything. And then with you changing jobs, that helped too. But all these things I don't think would have happened if you wouldn't have had a support system, which is with this community, right? But then also two, having a coach or having someone that you can look up to talk to about these things, to help guide you. So again, these are steps that you took towards success. Yeah. And have gotten you where you are. And that's my whole thing too, that I've talked about, that I even have a coach and I've had trainers and because again, I don't know everything. And then also I always want to learn and I want to be pushed too. I don't want to have to always, and literally, and it would always blow my mind because people would be like, oh, you're so expensive. I'm like, I'm paying double for my male trainer. Yeah. Double, y'all, than what you guys pay. You know what I mean? So I'm over here I'm in the red trying to, because but again, it was a specific, person, but I believed in them. And so, and I knew the value, I knew that it helped me. And I was like, okay, well, what is my health worth? And so again, that was where, it's always interesting to me, when I hear that. And that to me just means that they're just not ready.
Exactly. And there was definitely a point that I reached, when I was at the job that when I was in that leadership position. It's what I want to do. I think with my nursing career, I just have such a passion for being there for nurses, being empathetic for nurses. And I think we have some of the hardest jobs in the world.
For sure.
My mom likes to say, you can teach a nurse to do anything or be anything.
Yeah.
Like a nurse could go to law school and be an attorney. My mom does clinical informatics. She works in IT.
That's cool.
As a nurse. There are nurses that, do a million things outside of a hospital.
Right.
You can't teach Joe on the street to go be a nurse.
Right.
So I just have such a high respect for nurses that I want to continue to advocate like further up the chain for nursing and nurses in general. However, I don't think I was ready for that role.
Okay.
I think I was still extremely burnt out from COVID.
Yeah.
And I was looking for an out from where I was. I was going crazy.
Right.
I also had a very close friend and coworker that was killed while it was, prime COVID time and working in the ICU.
Right.
So I needed to leave there. I was no longer growing. I was bitter and I just hated everything and everyone. And I was like, I need to leave. Yeah. So I did. And I'm glad that I did. Right. But I don't think that I thought through that decision all the way. And I think I just further put myself into a hole because I was trying to claw myself out that I just dug myself deeper.
I see.
And so I really struggled for that year that I was in that position. And along with that was that mental mindset of, because I was gaining weight.
Yeah.
My schedule had changed.
Yeah.
I cut back working out with you. I went from, once a week to like once a month, I think.
Yeah.
And that was not good for me at all. My food just got worse.
Yeah.
My mental state got worse. My movement got worse. And I felt like a failure. And there was a point where I was like, maybe I need to go back to the doctor and get back on Ozempic. And shout out to my PCP because I did. I went and I was like, hey man, I think maybe I just need to go back on it. Like I'm not having success, Right. And he looked at me and he goes, we've gained some weight. Your A1C went up a little bit, but you're not anywhere near where you were before. Yeah. And he goes, are you doing anything about this? And I was like, I mean, I have a trainer, like I'm trying to work out, I know all the things that I need to do. And like, what a healthcare person thing to say. Cause we know all the things.
Right.
Like,
but he's like, are you implementing them?
Exactly. Yeah. And I was like, honestly, no, I'm not doing everything that I can do. Yeah. And he was like, do your best. And then if you come back and we're still in a bad place, then we'll talk about it.
Such a great, I don't even know the dude, but like that's such a great.
Dr. Spetko. I love him. He's great.
That was so good because there was no shame around it. It was just being real.
It was just being real.
And that was my thing too, I think, because for me, it was like, I was a little disheartened, when you went from, me seeing you every week and be like, okay, we're on this roll. And then just to see you kind of be like, nah, like I'm just going to go like that kind of flip where it's like that mental. And a lot of women, I'll put it on us for a minute. We do that because again, we overthink and then we think that, okay, I have to step. It's almost like stepping, like it feels like you're stepping 30 steps back, but you're really not. Like you weren't as far gone, like he just said. Yeah. He was like, you're nowhere near where you were. Yeah. But in your mind, you're like, nope, I'm all the way back at the beginning.
I was like complete failure.
And then we go to those harsh, like 0 to 100 real quick. And it's so hard because as, a trainer and then looking at you as being like, man, you're such a part of this community. It's like, she just has to figure it out. Yeah. And I have to do it so often. And that is something that's so hard on me all the time because it's like you see what people can be and you believe in them. And then you're like, just like stay out of your own way for like a second and like trust it. You're right there. Like, you know what I mean? And again, everything happens how it's supposed to happen, but you still stayed apart. And that's a big thing that I tell with clients now, right? Yeah. Where I'm like, again, still stay a part of the community, because even that will get you to like where you want to be.
Yeah.
Versus being like, okay, I'll come, like I gotta step away and come back, and you know what I mean? Because when they do that, 9 times out of 10, it's just easier for them to keep stepping back.
Yeah.
Stepping back.
Yeah.
And so I definitely feel you on that. And whenever you decided, okay, so you took that time and you were kind of in that dark space, what was the shift? Like, was it him being like, no, like give it your best, and then you started like, you know, watching your food a little bit more? Like, what was that?
Honestly, the shift didn't really come until after I left that job and I started the job that I'm in now.
Yeah.
And it still even took a minute after that, because I was, you know, new job. I'm kind of frantic, like trying to figure it out, training in that and, you know, whatever.
Right.
And I think it wasn't until I had kind of like settled out in that job and I was really comfortable. And I think it actually was, so a group of us at work, you know this, decided to do a diet bet.
Right.
If you're listening, you can't see me, but I do air quotes because I don't really like diet bets. I think it can be a negative experience for some people, but it is what you make it, right?
Right.
So we had a group of people at work do that together. I didn't win, but it's okay.
Yeah.
And that really, it kind of made me click, because I heard positive and negative from that experience. So the typical negative that comes from a diet bet, people were obsessing about their food. People were like, I'm going to go keto. I'm not going to eat this. I'm not going to eat this. I'm not going to eat this. And blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, that seems not great to me. Like, that feels icky.
Yeah. Right.
And so I was like, I'm going to go more this direction and I'm going to focus on this. And that felt so much better to me.
Right.
Natural to me. And I think that was the first time that it ever clicked in my head. Yeah. You don't need to be on a diet.
Right.
You don't need to be on a strict workout plan. Right. Like, all of these things my whole life had been 100% commitment or nothing. Yes. And that was the first time that I kind of looked at it and I was like,
and I will say, do you feel like you were able to see that though because you had been training with me? Okay.
Yes.
Because that was the whole thing that, you know, it was that mindset shift of like, you know, because again, with even like our challenges, trying to be like, let's make it more holistic. Let's make it not so about the number and everything like that. And so I try to do my different, you know, get your movement challenge, live your body challenge, fight for what you want challenges throughout the year, and try to make them a little bit different every time. So that way, you know, people can have that mindset of you can still feel successful even if you don't win. Yeah. And I know you just finished up the one that we just did, you know, the push-up challenge stuff. So tell me, how did you feel like during that?
Amazing. Yeah. Like, that was, so that was, I think, my third Get Your Movement Challenge in. Yeah. And no, I haven't won any of you guys.
I know. I'm like rooting for you. I have been manifesting for you to win for like ever.
It'll come eventually.
And it's just, and it's not that lack of working hard, because guys, Amanda crushes them and she's always showing up. She's always tagging. She's always doing things like, you know, and she was on it. And especially during this challenge, like I see her, you know, once a week and like was, you know, showing up to her sessions, doing stuff when she wasn't here, setting an example for the hospital. Yeah. Because you know, you got even coworkers, right? They walked up.
Coworkers to start doing
push-ups
with me or sit-ups. Like, they would come up to the gym at work and do stuff with me. And I've gotten multiple people have joined the gym at work, you know, with me. Huge. Yeah. And it's great. And, you know, I can't be too mad that I haven't won any, because my sister's, you know, won prizes in 2 of them now. And it's like, that almost is just as good for me. Because like I said, she's really like the manifestation for me, like, be the example. Yeah. And I see it in her and I'm like, it's worth it now. That's like, huge. It's good. Yeah. So, but huge. During the push-up challenge, when I say I legitimately could not do one standard push-up in the beginning, I could not. I still can't do 10, but that's okay. I can do about 4 to 5. Yes. But then just pick up right in my negatives. I can pump out like 20 negative push-ups now. No issue. Right. When I first started working with you, I hate push-ups. I hate them. But I saw a real difference in that daily movement. And it was, again, just another thing to reinforce that mindset change. Because I mean, I'm sure you know this, even after you have that mindset shift, there's still some days that are really dark and are really hard.
Well, and that's the whole thing too, that, people need to understand about my business and about what Dani Fitness is that it's not like, even with the loving your body, it's not about, okay, you're going to love your body every day and we're forcing that on you or whatever.
Yeah.
That's not it. There's going to be days that you don't like your body, but the point is that you can find something that you appreciate about it. And that, especially with the challenges, helps people that maybe aren't clients or other people that join in that are from all over, that maybe in their worlds, they're seeing that they are less than, or that they're not this, that, or whatever.
Yeah.
But because they could do those push-ups that day, they felt successful and like worth something.
Yeah.
And they may not have even been, like, again, so many times I heard, well, they're not real push-ups, or, oh, they're not. I'm like, guys, you lifting your body from your stomach to a plank is a lot.
Yeah.
If you're, you know what I mean? For some, especially as we have people ages of, we've had ages, like, for the challenges, like probably like 20 to like 70.
I was going to say 60, 70s,
yeah,
I think.
so like all over the board. So again, being capable enough to push yourself up, or even to learn.
And all different skill levels too.
Yes.
And I mean, didn't somebody hurt their knee during that too,
Yes,
right?
so-
And she still was busting out
So
push-ups.
a client of mine, she's a nurse. And so she went down to help a patient, knee snapped, whatever. And
Story of my life.
And she ended up, and she was like, Dani, I'm just gonna do them from the bed. And I was like, one-legged, you know what I mean? I was like, let's go. But that's why, like, it's so frustrating for me sometimes when people are like, oh, well, like, I have this or I had that, and I get it. But I had one girl who had COVID, and she sent me private messages of her doing the push-ups every day. Yeah. Because again, not to be whatever, but like, she was physically able enough that like the push-ups for her were not like, they were a challenge, but they weren't like detrimental. You know what I'm saying? I'm not like, she's like COVID and she's 80 years old. Okay, guys, like, come on. Like, you know what I mean? Like, again, we have some compassion. Like, there can be amendments made.
Yeah.
But again, it was like, for those people that are like, I'll just modify. I'm like, that's awesome. That's all I ask, because again, you're still creating the habit that you showed up for yourself that day.
Yes.
So that's what the challenges are all about, is creating consistency and building those habits. And that's where I'm like, I want all bodies, all walks of levels. I have tons of challengers that have other trainers.
Yeah.
I have tons of challengers that are on different states, whatever, different things, different plans, whatever. But again, it is about like having that sense of, let's build these habits and like prove to yourself that you can commit to something.
Yeah.
And stick with that.
I never thought that I would be able to do, because it was 10 push-ups a day for
10 weeks.
10 weeks. So if you did 10 a day, you did 700.
Yeah.
I did 1,000 push-ups in 10 weeks.
More. Yep. Exactly.
Like, and I would keep track of it on like a little whiteboard in my kitchen. I got my boyfriend to do it with me some days, like my sister, I would do them with you some days, people at work. Exactly. But at the end of the challenge, like when I tallied all that up, I was like, I did that.
Yeah. Like, and it's so cool, because it's like, if people would just keep a track, and that's why like a lot of times I do my photos and I do my reels and stuff, or my highlights and stuff, because I want to look back and be like, dang, like that was real life. Like that, I did that. And to keep that track that way. But, journaling, I even have journals, that people buy and stuff, and, whiteboards, anything that you can keep that track of, is huge. And so that's the thing, is like, and then also, if you've ever done a challenge and you're listening and maybe you didn't win, or you felt like you failed, right? The thing is the only way that you failed is if you didn't keep going. Because the thing, I gave opportunities for like ways for people to get back into the challenge if they missed a day, or, whatever.
Yeah, I missed a day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And like, you still were able, and my whole thing too is, somebody said, hey, look, I missed 2 days on this current challenge. I missed 2 days. Is it still okay if I keep on like posting and like with the group? And I'm like,
yes,
of course it is. Like, yeah, you're not going to get the prize at the end, but like prove to yourself. But is that all you're
doing it for?
Exactly. So that's where it's like that whole thing of, the prizes are nice, you guys. And I have a lot of sponsors that help out with these things, which is great. My prizes could be anywhere from, a fight canister in a session with me to $500. Like, it just is all over the place, right? And or free photo shoots or massages or all these different things, because I want to offer the best that I can for my people that are putting themselves out there, setting the example for those around them, because, I'm just one person. And that's why it's been so special to have, you so integrated into this message, because, again, some people who, lose the weight, are approved by society, approved by everyone around, all these things, whatever. It's easier for them to be about something.
Yeah.
Right. But to be like, no, I'm actually choosing my health, no matter what that looks like.
Yeah.
And I'm actively working on being better and doing that and representing, loving myself throughout. Like, that is the embodiment of what Dani Fitness is.
Yeah.
And so that for me speaks mounds that's a reality, you know, to see, because for so long I wasn't seeing that in clients, you know, and it did get heavy, and it did get, because again, they saw results, but then they were either like kind of going around it, like they were using medication, or they were, you know, doing these crash things, or it was all about the weight. And I was like, guys, like, I again, and so that's why I try to always like push, you know, into, you know, my social media platforms and all these things, whatever, that like, regardless of the number, it is about how you feel.
Yeah.
That is what we're doing.
Yeah.
So if you genuinely don't feel good at 170 or whatever, then let's find a way that you know, again, can we clean up the food? Can we move more? Can we do a challenge to help you? Like, what can I do? Like, you know, well, this podcast, if you're listening to it while you're doing your fasted cardio, so it helps you go by quicker, like things that I can offer, you know, that make you feel successful.
Yeah.
And so I want to get from your perspective, from kind of, because over this past year, you've helped out with more events. You've kind of seen the backside more so, you know, of the brand and everything like that. What was
behind the scenes of Dani D?
Yeah, everybody wants to know. But we will save the exclusive stuff for the Dani After Dark.
Right, yeah.
But like, what has been like your perspective, kind of?
I mean, I'm just in awe of you. If I'm totally honest, I am. Like, you are such an incredible motivator, supporter, businesswoman, trainer, friend. Like, I'm gonna cry because I really do. No, I do. I believe in your message so much, but it's not just your message, it's who you are. And I think that's why it's so easy for me to do this. You know, like, I am 110 invested because this is amazing.
Oh, man, don't cry.
I know, but it's stupid. I cry, like I said,
no, it's
vulnerability.
okay.
I'm in therapy. I cry over everything now.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
But it's like, it's happiness.
Yeah.
And it is, you care just as much about my well-being, my health, spiritually, physically, mentally.
Yeah.
As you do, like, you know, not a lot of personal trainers, I may be generalizing, really focus on their goals with their clients. Like, you have a goal to lose this much weight by your wedding. Let's do it.
Right.
That's just not going to stick with me.
Yeah.
It's not. And the more I can be vulnerable with you and tell you these things, and you are still there to support me. Because let's be honest, there are some trainers out there that, looking at my journey and how it's gone, when I, you know, came in and was in a much smaller body, and I told you I want to, you know, tone it up, and then I got off of medication and I cut back and I gained weight and, you know, kind of got off track for a little bit.
Right.
A lot of trainers would have stopped working with me.
Yeah.
They would have been like, you know what, we're just not fitting anymore.
Yeah.
You're not, you know, the goals aren't really clear.
Because it didn't meet their expectations.
Exactly. Yeah. It doesn't look good on them.
Right.
It doesn't look good on them.
Yeah. Which is so toxic, guys, and it's so messed up. And I get it, because it's like, if you feel like you're kind of like you know, pulling teeth to drag people out of the dirt when they're like just not wanting it and stuff, and like whatever. But again, that's the whole thing, is my expectations. There's no timelines for my clients. You know what I mean? Again, people can put a perspective. Yeah, I want to look this way for a wedding, or I want to do whatever. I'm like, if you follow this plan and you stick to this and you give it your all, like, I'll get you where you want to be.
Yeah.
But again, like, I'm never going to, you know, commit to getting them to a weight or a size or whatever, because again, I guarantee you that, like, when you feel your best, like, you're going to realize that you look the way you've always wanted to. And it's probably not going to be that number on the scale. No. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or be whatever that everyone else is telling you that number should be.
Yes.
You know? And so thank you for all the kind words, because that means a lot. And I do value you as a person. And the thing is guys, it's not because Amanda's the highest paying client, okay? It's not because, you know what I mean? Like, it's not because she has always been so kind to me, or, you know, whatever. Like, there's so many different things that, like, you people are like, oh, well, she, like, helps with the events, or, oh, whatever. It's like,
but I haven't always done that
exactly,
either. And
exactly.
And when I started, I don't even remember when I started doing that.
Yeah.
I think you asked me like one time, you were like, hey, you know, we're going to like set up. I don't know if you want to come and like help, whatever. And I was like, yeah, down. Let's do it. Right. And I feel like ever since then, every single thing that's going on, if I can make it, I'm like, I'm there for the day. Yeah. I'm there for you, dude. Like whatever you need.
Which is like, man,
let me know.
If you've been listening to this podcast before it was even the Live Your Right podcast, you know, like from before, if you've been listening to it, you know that like all I was like praying and manifesting was for help. Yeah. And not like in a way of like, oh, I feel sorry for you. Yeah, I'll come. I'll show up maybe. Like, because I've had people who literally, like people who wanted to be a part of the mission, who told me they were showing up, signed things saying, and still didn't come. Yeah. And I'm like, hey, man, I get it that life happens, but it would just be like a no-show. Like, and even people like, it was just crazy. And it was so hurtful because there, like when I say, you guys, that you have no idea when it comes to events, like what is put into that, like besides paying all the money to get the stuff that I need, right? Besides pre-planning and like getting the set ready for Move Fit or the speaking engagement or a slideshow or whatever, besides then showing up, then being present, then talking to everyone, then trying to self-fight, then trying to talk about my training, then trying to talk about the mission, then trying to talk to them about the podcast, and then go do the event, be like, do that, then come back and then have to tear down everything and then be exhausted. But then, you know what I mean? Like, it's like there's so much, and for so long I did that by myself. Yeah. And I'll credit Vicky because Vicky did help out a lot.
Right?
Mama Vicky was there. Yes. But really, I mean, it would be like that, and then at the time maybe there'd be like my graphic designer, or it'd be like another person. But like it was always, I don't know. It was just like, and then I was lucky enough when I had my fitness festivals where people came through out of the woodwork. My best friends were there to help. Like they, you know, showed up, and thank goodness, right? Because that was ridiculous. But then when it came to like, especially when I was in Nashville, you know, I was doing a lot of events there for a minute, and I'm just like, bruh, I am wrecked. And then like that Move Fit that you came to at what was it? Peabody? Yeah. Like people showed out and like came to help, and even like a mom and son that came to help me, and then they just follow on Instagram. And I was like, yeah, please hang the banners. Like, whoa, I don't have to hang. And thank God, because like
that was like peak injury for you too, right?
Yes. Yeah. Like I was like barely could move my leg. Like that was, and I was trying to do Move Fit. You know, and that was one of the first ones back, and I actually hurt myself on stage. I had to take a minute, but I was like, we are on a stage. We got a backdrop. We got a DJ. We got everything.
We are in
We're finishing it. So I pivoted, and I like had like my nieces came up on stage with me. Jordan came up on stage with me. I was still giving it my all, but like, you know, we made it work.
I was up on stage for one of those.
Yes, you came on stage. Yeah, and that really helped. But like, it was one of those things where I finally, like, I started seeing a shift and a change. Yeah. And I was like, oh man, people are here for me. Okay. You know, like, and it was such a different shift. So ever since then, you know, so that's like mid 2021, like it just has only grown and snowballed. And that's where like you and Katie both have helped so incredibly much, because it's like y'all never asked for anything afterwards.
No.
You weren't like, can we get this? Can we like whatever? And again, even if you would have like, I've had people do that. They've come to an event like, so like we're like, can I get a shirt now? Like, or whatever. And it's like, okay, yeah, sure. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like awkward. And they put me in such spaces where it's just like a, you know, it's such a weird thing. And anyway, and so like even this last Move Fit that we did, and that was at one hotel. Like when I say that was seamless, I mean,
it was perfect, dude.
It was.
Like you said, I think probably for like a year now, I've been helping you with like setting up and, you know, being there for events and being a little bit more involved. That was the best Move Fit I've ever been to. Yeah. Like from start to finish. Yeah. It was perfect.
Yeah.
Like the weather,
and even
venue, the space, I mean,
nothing was forgotten.
No.
You know what I mean?
Like the one hotel was great.
Yes.
Like, can we just give them props for a minute?
100%.
Because that is a super nice downtown venue. Yeah. And they were fantastic.
Yeah. They weren't snooty. They weren't any type of way. Like it was so.
Helped us set up and stuff. Like gave us stuff that we needed.
Yes. And And Brand House, they were like the PR agency that helped like put that together. Because it was so funny because they kept like reaching out to me about like food, because that's what their main clients are, food. And this was like during all my prep. I was like, guys, like I can't keep coming to these influencer events. Like it's all food. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, I can, but like I don't want to. And then I remember I went to an event, and that's where I met Ricky. And I met Kate, and then she introduced me to Ricky later from 171 by the River. But anyway, I basically got the idea there at that moment to then ask them, like, you know what, is there any like anybody else that we could like partner with? Because like, your girl like does not want to keep getting this free food. I mean, which I know sounds crazy, but I'm just like, I mean, like, thank you, but like, no, I'm okay. And so they were like, yeah, actually we do have this. And they were seamless with it. Julie was the one that helped me. And so that was cool. But it was because you guys came, you set up everything for me. And that way I could just come and do.
You give 150, 200%. Like if y'all have never been to a MoveFit with Dani, you need to go. It is something to experience because you give it your all. You know, you're jumping, you're running, you're talking. I mean, it's a full on performance, you know, and people that perform, I don't perform. I don't do music, but I did like stuff in high school, like musical theater, show choir, dancing, singing at the same time and having all of that energy is exhausting. It's exhausting. So the fact that you perform, it's a performance, like it is. And you're also setting stuff up, tearing stuff down. You're having personal conversations with people, making connections, like trying to remember people's names, like new people that you meet and everything. I don't think that you should have to worry about the little things.
Well, and that's what's so
just
cool.
Personally. Like.
Yes. Well, and that's what the thing too is like, you know, I like MoveFit, for those who don't know, is a strong, sexy, athletic dance format. I started that when I was in college, at UT, where I had the freedom to do kind of like my own classes. I called it cardio hip hop back then. And I was teaching like 75 people at a time. Okay. Huge classes. So I'm running around making sure they're all like not injured. They're good. I mean, doing all the things.
Can we also just pause and talk about the kismet of that we were both at UT at the same time?
I forgot about that.
And I never met you, never crossed paths, nothing.
Well, we're the same.
2014
same age.
No, so you're a little bit older than me, so I was behind you.
Okay.
But I was there when you were still there before I left. So I left to go to nursing school.
Okay.
At Belmont.
Where did you stay in like?
Oh, I was in South Carrick, baby.
Wait, South Carrick. Then what? Then where'd you go?
No, I was only in South Carrick. I only did 2 years there.
Okay.
I was like 2014, 2015.
Okay. So see, then I would have been off campus at that point because I stayed at the Woodlands and that because I was in South Carrick, the sorority house, then the Woodlands.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did go to the Quarry Trail.
So okay. So I was across the Quarry Trail, and then that's wild. That's so wild. But it was in 2013. In 2014, I lived. Well, actually. Shoot, I don't know years, but some year. Okay, then I went to
10 years ago. It's
years ago, so long ago. And then I went to it was off the, I don't know, it was like the landings or something. So it was like
yeah.
So and I would go from that. That's where I started running because I would run to campus and
that's
I'd run
a sketchy
to UT.
area to be running. What are you doing?
No, actually, like it was. Well, it was, but it was it was brand new apartments over there. So like where the trail was, if I went up, I was like I was seen always. Like, there was no like woods. If I would have gone down and stuff, then it would have been. But they had that route, so I did that, and I would like run to class and like run to my classes and teach, and then come back, and that was awesome. So I did senior year, but that's so wild. So did you go to the UT like the Rex sports at all?
I went to the T-Rex a couple of times.
Okay,
and hated it.
Yeah,
I felt
you never
very.
Took a class?
No, I think I went in like once or twice. I know, but I was so like depressed and I did not like being in Knoxville. I didn't make friends like I thought I would.
Oh yeah,
and it was like super hard for me, and I felt like I was forcing myself into things that were not me.
Yeah,
and that's why I ended up leaving and going to Belmont for nursing school. Okay. But it's just so funny to me that we talk about that now, and I'm like, we were there at the same time. Like I could have been doing MoveFit this whole time.
How funny would that have been if you would have that like moment where you did the first MoveFit with me and be like, wait, I've done this before. Like, I've heard the song.
I've done
like,
it.
Do I know this?
Deja vu.
Yeah. So, because I have some of my key ones that I'll use from there that I still remember. Like, I'll say like this was back from like 2014, like OG. And so but it's an experience, it's a performance, and and it means so much to me because when I was teaching there, I did not feel comfortable being in the gym. So like what you're saying, and I was depressed and I had some things going on, which is not making a lot of friends and whatever. And that when I would stand in front of that mirror and I had a room filled with people, I didn't care if they liked me. I didn't care what they thought about my body. I didn't care whatever, but they were there to take my class and I was there to give them the best experience I could.
Yeah.
And to hopefully then change their mindset maybe a little bit, that it's not about, because they were too focused on like me and like the choreography to be worried about how they looked.
Yes.
And that's why I would say to them every class and let them know like, hey, it's a safe space. Like, like, we're here to move.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Like, cause if you're too busy looking at her, like you're not doing your job, you know? And so when I would implement that, I was hoping that would carry out. Right.
Yes.
And so then I was able to like carry that into the business fraternity and the sorority. And then some of those people still follow me to this day. And they're like, we love how you've grown this mission and and that's been really cool. Because that was such a dark time, and like movement was the only thing. I say this all the time, that movement has saved my life multiple times. And it is like so important to me. And that's where like I want people to, even if they don't ever train with me, like by coming to a Move Fit, you get to experience like that love for movement and your body. And I have girls that do, they just come to Move Fit, and like, that's great. And so getting back to, you know, I was going to say, with your journey and everything now, diabetes wise, like how is all of that? How is health markers?
So everything for the most part is good. I fall into a pre-diabetic range with my A1C. My doctor did put me back on metformin, like just low dose maintenance to try and keep that A1C where it is, along with my diet and exercise. You know, and for somebody that has gone from being on, and when I say like when I was at my most unhealthy, that was also because I ended up in the ER. So all of my shifts happened because I ended up in the ER. That's so sad. But
sometimes it takes that.
Yeah. So I had ended up on, originally it was Trulicity, actually. So they started me on Trulicity, which is, if people don't know, is another GLP-1 injectable once weekly drug. And so I started on that, as well as upping my metformin dose, starting me on Jardiance, which is a GLP-1 pill. So you take that every day. So I was on 2 GLP-1s. And then what else was I? Oh, he started me on a statin as well, because my blood pressure, or my cholesterol was high. So they put me on a statin. And for people not in healthcare, that's a big deal for a young woman. So statins are in an X class of medications, which means while you're pregnant, it's damaging to the fetus. You're not supposed to put women of a childbearing age on statins unless it's an emergency. I was put onto a statin. So I'm on a statin, Jardiance, Trulicity, and metformin. All at one time. At like 21, 22 years old. Then Trulicity was not giving my endocrinologist at the time. I think they wanted to see a little bit faster progression for me. So he was like, you know what? I have this other GLP-1 that's about, it hadn't even hit the market yet. He was like, I have these samples in the refrigerator in the office. He was like, I want to start you on it. And I was like, okay, sure. Started taking the Ozempic. Immediate symptoms. Immediate nausea and vomiting. I thought it was the statin. I was like, this is making me sick. I don't like it. So they took me off the statin, left me on the Ozempic, and everything else, Jardiance and the metformin. Then I was still experiencing the nausea and vomiting, but I kind of caught on pretty quickly that if I just cut my portions in half, so whatever I was eating before, eat half of that and you won't get sick. So that's not that I wasn't having symptoms. I found a way to work around it.
For sure.
And then the Jardiance ended up coming off because I was having recurrent UTIs. So the main thing with that drug is that it pushes the excess sugar in your blood system out through your urinary tract. And so you get a lot of UTIs. Ended up getting off of that because once I started on the Ozempic, the weight was coming off. Everything was kind of getting better. I was losing the weight, you know. So slowly everything else stopped. The metformin, the Jardiance, and all that was left was the Ozempic. And I stayed on that. And like I said, lost over 100 pounds in like a year. And then I remember it was a point where I'd gone to get like blood work done, just like a regular checkup with my doctor. And my A1C was actually like low. Which, again, if people don't know, A1C for diabetics is your average blood glucose over 3 months. So you can't really cheat it. You know, it's not like a fasting blood sugar. Like I'm not going to eat this morning and my blood sugar is going to be low. Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
No, it's not how it works. If you've not been doing what you're supposed to be doing, your A1C is going to show that.
Okay.
My A1C went from at the highest, like 7.5.
Okay.
Normal range, like 5 point something, like 5 point something to 6. 5.7 is when you start to reach pre-diabetes. Okay. My A1C got down to 4.3.
Gotcha.
So now I'm having hypoglycemia, low blood sugar.
Right.
And like I said, I was just finding workarounds because I was like, I'm losing the weight. I'm getting attention from people that I've never gotten attention from, compliments from people. Like, it was completely different. My life was completely different.
So let's touch on that real quick. So just in a brief summary, because when we were on the podcast before, we talked about this and like, how has it been like when you have, because we've experienced both this, and I'll just say it because I already know, like we both have experienced that moment of we are celebrated for that. And I think that it's just human nature. People see you work, if they see you working hard and they see you whatever, right? But it's just the fact that it is so just visual where it's like I mean, the other day I told you when we went where it was like Cheekwood or whatever, I was like, you looked just beautiful. And it wasn't like beautiful for a big girl.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How people say that, or beautiful, or like, you know, oh, you thick or whatever. It wasn't that. You looked strong. You looked beautiful. And it was just a moment of like, but you were confident.
Yeah.
And that was like so cool to see. And that's where it kills me when so many women think that their whole identity is in that weight, like it's on our forehead. And you be like, oh, well, my body size is like, you know, whatever. But again, there can be beautiful bodies in different ways. And that is like, I was looking at a post earlier where everyone's asking where to get these drugs from to lose weight. And it's like people that are like, yeah, I just can't get this 20 pounds off. And I'm like, we're not even talking diabetic. We're not even talking hundreds of pounds heavier or obese. We're talking like normal bodies or like mid-size, what we would consider, you know, what like, you know, that whole craze and stuff. And so it's just kind of like, what has been your, I guess, what would be your advice to people listening that have maybe dealt with being in like categorized all their life as one way or the other? Like,
I think that you have to, and it's going to sound so cliche, you have to find yourself.
Yeah.
You have to be comfortable with yourself.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter. You could be on a diet. You could be working out every day. You could be on a medication that's helping you lose weight.
Right.
When I lost all that weight, because I thought I was the number one proponent, I was like, when I get skinny, I'm going to be happy.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was not.
Right.
I was not. Like, yeah, it felt good to get compliments from people. Like, nice. I still disliked myself.
Yeah.
I did not like my body when I lost all of that weight.
Yeah.
Like, it was nice to buy clothes in a size that I'd never bought before.
Right. Yeah. Like new things.
Yeah. But that high lasts for a minute.
Right.
I was not comfortable with myself at all.
That's why people get into severe depression and they get so upset. And that's what the whole message of loving your body throughout is that, so that when you do change, when you have kids, when you don't have, you know, whatever happens, you know, God forbid, that like you are able to look at yourself and be like, you know what, but I still love this temple. I still love this vessel that I was given. Yeah. And there's a reason that we came out the way we did.
Yeah.
Right. Like if I wouldn't have had the frame that I had, I probably wouldn't have been able to lift that tire.
Yeah.
After we watched all those women not be able to lift that tire. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And again, no, whatever just on them. But again, like I got bigger legs, like, you know, strong legs, that booty, whatever. And so I was able to do that. Yeah. And even with dance, I was able to tumble. So like there's so many positives with movement wise, but they were always underlooked because of my size.
Yes.
And that is what I want young girls, especially listening to understand, that like it does not devalue like your worth or how good you are, and keep fighting and keep working hard, not to prove yourself, but to not to prove yourself to others, but to prove to yourself that you have given your all.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you may be the best, just the nicest, that's the awesome person, but the guy around the corner is too dumb to see it, and he's not going to want to date you or whatever. He dates the other girl. Yeah. And that's not a discredit on you. No. That is not because of your body or whatever it is. That is a them issue.
Yeah.
And like, that is what I hope that this mission can continue throughout, you know what I mean? And you have embodied that. And again, even if like, again, cause you're watching your food now, you said on medication, you're on what?
I'm on metformin.
Okay. Yeah. It's metformin. So like, you're tapering off of certain things, like you're focusing on your health, your mental health, all of this, you're moving more, you're doing challenges, all these things. So let's say that in a year from now or whenever, maybe you are smaller sizes, right? But at that point, like you're still Amanda.
Yeah.
You still have the same love, but then maybe you're just a different size. And then like, you know what I mean? Like, but you can embrace it because you found that love now.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter either which way.
Exactly. Like, and that's what I mean when I say like, you need to find yourself.
Yeah.
Figure out who you are and love yourself for you and just do it for you and only you. Like you don't need to justify to anybody what you're doing or why you're doing it. Cause I get that a lot when I meet like new people and they start following me and they're like, oh, like you work out with a trainer and blah, blah. They're like, so what are you trying to do? And I'm like, I don't really have any specific goals right now. Looking into the future, I'd love to be able to do some other stuff but I don't have a specific goal in mind right now. I want to be healthy.
Your goal is to be healthy.
I want to be healthy and I want to like
and
myself.
And that can be enough.
Exactly.
That can be, and everyone listening that feels that they have to have the next and the next and the next thing. I'm guilty of it too. But on some level though, it is okay for this to be enough in this moment.
You are enough.
Yes, exactly. And that is something I keep around with me. And even remember at the suicide walk and the little girl gave me that, she said like, you're loved. But there was another.
I have mine in my car. Yeah. I look at it every day.
And that was so special because it is true. And this lie and the devil that keeps like coming in, in different ways and keeps attacking you. Like, don't let it deter all the positive that you've done. And if you feel like you are absolutely at that, like just that bottom rung, and you can't pull yourself out or you don't, and you need that support, that is where I think this community is different. Yeah. And you can tell me from your perspective, before we get off and everything, get to our Dani D After Dark episode, because that's where all the fun's going to be. But seriously, what would you say is the main factor that you've seen as a part of the community, like that is different? Because you're the one that's seeing, me posting in the group and me saying stuff and whatever. But like, what do you gather from that that's different than just like a generic like app or that people do, or what I mean?
Yeah. So like I said, I've been through all the fad diets, all the things. I've done like the whole beach body thing. Yeah. I did, all that crap. Yeah. I'm sorry, not crap, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're fine.
This community I think is just different because it just boils back down to people are doing things genuinely for themselves. And like you said, you have some clients that are, I have a goal for this. I want to lose weight before my wedding. I want to, I want to do a show. I want to do, whatever. And that's awesome. Yeah. I think it's special that this community supports each other no matter what your goal is.
Right there.
We don't have to have a like-minded goal. We don't all need to be doing the same thing. Right. We're going to support and cheer each other on for whatever another person is doing.
Yeah. And I love that. And I think that there's the common thread woven in with everyone of wanting to love ourselves more.
Yeah.
Right.
And wanting to help each other love themselves more.
Yes, because every single person in the group, I guarantee if I bring up your name, they're going to say, oh, she's just awesome. She's so great. Yeah. Or like when I bring up someone else's name, you could say 100,000 positive things about them, but it's like turning it back on you guys and being like, okay, then now what is the thing that you love about yourself? There's nothing, and knowing that you're in support in that, because like when I was at UT or when I was starting my healthy lifestyle journey, I did feel very alone. And I felt like there was nobody but also I didn't really reach out to people. I didn't really, because again, it was fear of, this is just another thing of like, she's just doing it again, or she's, you know what I mean? It's like another diet or another quick fix or whatever. And I knew that it was different, but I was like, I'm going to just like sit back and not say anything. And then just like by actions, and that is what then people started to notice. And they were just like, man, like she continually works out, she's continually like, you can't fake hard work. Yeah. And, and so that is where like, but it would have been cool to have people that I could have had that community with. And I never felt like I vibed with any other community. There was always other things and values that we didn't have the same, and it was always just the same typical stuff.
Exactly.
And so that way, when like starting this community, it was this moment of, man, finally people are starting to see the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And now like I feel like you're more wise than people who I know who've done these like the weight loss and all the things and whatever.
Yeah.
And like you're already so far ahead of them. Not that it's competition, but just like you've learned so much already in a quick amount of time.
Yeah, but it's like the mental side of that. I mean, what do you always say? What are the 3 things?
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
mindset, fuel, and movement.
Right.
You need all 3.
Yeah.
That mindset changes the game, dude.
Yeah.
It changes the game. Because you could be eating right, you could be moving your body.
Yeah.
But if your mental
If you're hating
is not good,
throughout,
it's never going to come together for you.
Right.
And that's one of the things that I love most about this community is that we can all be open and honest about where we are in our journey. Like people will come on there and be like, I'm having a bad day.
Yes. Yeah.
Things are not going my way. This week has been awful. This has happened. This has happened. This has happened.
Yeah.
And people will jump on there and be like, you got this.
Right.
Like it's going to pass.
Yep.
And you are capable. You are strong. You are beautiful. Like.
And that's where I know that what I'm asking is a lot.
Yeah.
I know that it's uncomfortable. I know that it's vulnerable. I know that it could be.
You get growth from being uncomfortable.
Exactly.
And
That's
being
the
vulnerable.
only way. And that is where, like, that is the difference. And that is why I'm so excited, just again, to see how, you know, how you guys thrive and just all of the growth. Cause again, like, even just in this past year, I've seen so much from you and so much from all of the other, you know, LYB ladies and everything. And it's been beautiful that you guys have believed in me, that you've believed in the mission, and that you now are setting that example for people who probably you wouldn't even realize are watching you, and like in the most like, you know, positive way. And they're just like, I can't believe it. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's huge. So, you know, I do want to ask this because I've been slacking on asking everybody this, but what is something that you love about your body and love about yourself?
So my go-to, like I said earlier, is always my glutes.
Yes.
But I'll be real honest. Lately these days, I'm liking my stomach. And that's so weird to say because I've always hated my stomach. Yeah. Like I just, you know, I think, again, I'm going to call out females for a minute.
Yeah.
I think women have an unrealistic expectation about what their stomach is supposed to look like.
Yes.
You want to have washboard abs like a male does.
Right.
A male doesn't have a uterus.
Yeah.
You have a uterus.
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, not everybody, like people have health issues and different things, but women are always going to biologically have that space there.
Right.
Even though I have that little, my uterus pooch, you know, people call it different things. I don't like different names for it.
Right.
But
Same.
Ever since, you know, I hurt my back, a big thing that we work on is my core strength.
Yes.
My core has grown exponentially in the 4 years that I've been working with you. And it's now second nature for me to when I do things, I brace my core.
Brace your core. I love that.
And I was like in the bathroom cleaning the other day, you know, hardcore cleaning, sports bra, leggings kind of day.
Yes.
And I was reaching up to clean something. And then I had to bend down. And when I bent down, like I had to brace pretty hard. And I caught a glimpse of myself like in the mirror as I was going down. And I was like, oh, sis.
Right.
Look at that waist.
Yes. I love that so much. And that's like those moments. That is that gem of like, you shouldn't feel ashamed of that. You shouldn't feel whatever because, oh, well, you're not XYZ. No. Like she found beauty in herself and like no matter what. And that's all that matters. And I just posted about that. Like that, whatever you see in the mirror, like that is what you should be fighting for. And that is what you should embrace. It doesn't matter how someone else perceives you or whatever they think or whatever. If you find that love and find those nuggets, like that is what's going to carry you through your healthy lifestyle journey on days that you feel less than, or you feel like, run down or whatever is happening. And it's going to keep you moving, you know, on this path. Yeah. So that's awesome. And then what was it that you love about yourself?
I love my mental strength.
Yeah.
I've worked hard on it for the past year, but I'm realizing looking back, like processing through a lot of things in therapy, looking back on my life, I've been through a lot of hard things.
For sure.
A lot of hard things. Yeah. And I'm really damn proud of myself that I got through those things. Yeah. And I learned from those things because I think that's the key. Yeah. You can go through hard things. Right. But if you're always going to be pushing it, like not actually sitting in it and learning something from it,
right,
it's not going to be worth it.
Yeah.
You're going to go through something hard for nothing.
Yeah. And nothing that Amanda has said has been easy, you guys. So please take this as a like lesson of like, you think that maybe you shouldn't have struggles or you've gone through something, so maybe there's like a whatever. No, it is always hard.
It is always hard.
It's always hard, but it's the way that like, okay, where can we find joy?
Yeah.
Where can we find love? And where can we find love for ourselves? And that is what is, you know, how I want to spend my time on this earth. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
Versus the negative and what everyone else seems to be doing.
Yeah.
So if you feel like you're the outlier, like on like how we do, like you're on the right path.
Yeah.
So like I know it's hard, but like keep going against the you know, the crowd. So I love this. Thank you so much for coming on, girl.
Yeah.
And make sure you guys stay tuned and turn on to Dani D After Dark because we're gonna get into it.